Sorry that you were just silently sitting here. We have a lot of really great updates, so we're just going to dive into it. The biggest thing that I really want to highlight is that the hard fork is coming. So this will be Ironfish's very first hard fork. We're calling it Hardfork 1. And all the things that you need to upgrade to have already been released. So if you're running a node, if you're a miner, mining operator, if you're running a wallet or any block explorer, anything that relates to Ironfish, now is your chance to upgrade. So the latest node update has been released as of March 6th. This is 2.0.0. If you just do npm install -g Ironfish, or if you go to the GitHub page, or if you install it basically any other way that you typically either install or upgrade your node, you should be able to get onto the latest version. This is the version that actually has the mainnet activation hard fork. So you do need to upgrade to this before April 2nd if you want to have a smooth transition. So highly encourage you guys, if you have a moment today or tomorrow or in the very short term near future to upgrade your node, please do so. The other thing is if you are using the Node app, so this is if you're using the Node app as your wallet or as your main way to interface with Ironfish Network, the upgrade for that has also come out. It's 3.0. So if you go to the download page for the Node app, you should be able to re-download that and get to the latest version. So please do that. That is the best way that you can prepare for the hard fork. And then the blog post explaining everything about that should be up already, and I'll post that in the announcements channel right after this call as well. So there have been a lot of things that we've done with our process to make it more transparent about what actually goes into the release. So Jason, do you want to talk about the new process that we have in Node 2.0 specifically, and what people should expect going forward from the release notes?
Yeah, hello. So if you've been with Ironfish a while, we've released actually quite a few updates. And as we mature as a project and kind of move along, we've attracted exchanges, we've attracted wallet developers, we've actually attracted a lot of institutional infrastructure developers who are now building on Ironfish, which is amazing. But we've got to make a better job for them to see what are the breaking changes between versions when they go to upgrade. So our engineer, Daniel, has actually put in a decent amount of work, kind of beefing up our pull requests and our release notes so that when we tag our pull requests, now our release notes will automatically describe kind of breaking changes. And you can actually see that here in the link in chat. If you click on our latest 2.0 release, we'll now do a really good job of saying what RPC breaking changes are going to go in the release and which SDK breaking changes are going to go in the release. And that's important because RPC is useful if you're just using the RPC to make network requests against your node to like download blocks or get the latest head. And SDK breaking changes are useful if you are using the SDK and you want to upgrade and all of a sudden your code's not going to compile. So those will be useful for fixing those types of issues if you're using the SDK directly. And a little bit of information, which might not be obvious, but in each version, there's 3 numbers: the leftmost number, the middle number, and the right number. We usually change the leftmost number when a hard fork or protocol consensus change is occurring. The middle number changes when there's a breaking change that is not a hard fork or consensus change. And the rightmost number changes when a change occurs that is a minor fix that does not affect and you can usually safely upgrade. It's always good to just check the release notes anyway, but hopefully this will help you in general as you're upgrading your nodes and if you're building products against Ironfish, which people are doing more and more, and we're excited about that. So hopefully this will help them have a bit more sense of safety when they're upgrading. So yeah, thank you. I'm actually going to pass it off to Daniel to talk about a very exciting topic we've all been waiting for, which is the launch of FishHash.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. So Elena mentioned the hard fork and the hard fork date coming up on April 2nd. I just wanted to go through a few, like, depending on who you are in the network, what you should expect to do. As Elena said, we do have a blog post that kind of goes through that as well. If you want to refer back to that, I'll post it in the chat right here. So for miners, I wanted to call out the process for miners specifically. So when we get to the hard fork, the mining algorithm will switch at a specific block sometime around April 2nd. We don't know exactly what time of day that will be. Our block times are supposed to average about 1 minute, but sometimes they're a little more or a little less. So we'll probably know sooner to the date exactly what time that'll be. And if you're a miner, what you're going to want to do is once the mining software that you used has released a version that includes fish hash, you're going to want to download that. And then on the hard fork date, you will need to do a manual switchover to start mining fish hash instead of the Blake 3 algorithm. All the pools should be ready and prepared for the fish hash change. We've been talking to all of them. All the mining software developers should be prepared as well. We don't have one mining software out yet that includes fish hash, but we've talked to many of the major ones like Idea with Lowell Miner and Rigel with Rigel Miner, SRB Miner. There's probably some that I'm missing, but they're in that blog post. But all of them have confirmed that they will be ready for mainnet. So kind of look out for a release of whatever mining software you're running and download that when it comes. Yeah, I think Elena kind of went through, if you're a node runner, you're going to want to upgrade to the latest version that we just released yesterday, or on Wednesday, sorry. If you run any sort of services around the network, like an exchange, if you're a mining developer and you want help with the change, feel free to reach out in the mining channel or general channel, just tag me. We'll be reaching out to everyone we know of directly, but if it's possible that there's people we don't know of who built stuff. So, yeah. There's one more thing. I forget what I was going to say last. I think that's it. So I'll hand it off to Rohan to talk about some other engineering work that's been going on.
Thanks, Daniel. So yeah, I'm here to talk about the multi-sig project. We've mentioned this a couple of times in our previous calls, but as a reminder, in Ironfish currently, all the transactions are basically single signature, where all the transactions just require one signature from the owner of a private key. And we are planning to soon launch multi-sig, which allows a threshold of parties to issue a transaction from a wallet. And the way it's currently working is there's a coordinator who has a private key, and there are multiple signers are for participants, and the private key gets chunked up and shared among all the participants in a group. And what this allows is a certain threshold of those participants to agree on what's happening on the transaction and then sign it. And the rationale behind this is you can eliminate one wallet as being a single point of failure. So it becomes good as a security solution if you're an institutional investor or operating a bridge or something like that. So this project has been tested end to end. We've done an internal bug bash and verified it's working. Right now, we're in the final stretch and improving some UX and cleaning up some bugs. We've also completed documentation, which is ready to be published once this release is out. And we're also working on merging these updates into the CLI standalone wallet. So the plan is for this to come in the next release, probably in a week or two. So stay tuned for that. Next, I will pass it off to Derek, who's going to talk about the mobile wallet. Thank you, Rohan. So the mobile wallet project kicked off, I think, at the last monthly pulse, if you remember that. So what we've been working on over the past month has been developing out a prototype just to test out the performance when syncing the wallet. So because we're a private chain, there's a little bit more effort that goes into syncing a wallet than on a non-private chain. We have to not only like pull down the blocks, but we also have to like look at each note in the block, look at each element in the block to see if it's yours or not and try to decrypt it. And so that slows down the process a bit. So our goal with this prototype was to try to build out the syncing process as fast as possible and to see if the experience syncing is going to be good enough that people will kind of be able to use the wallet and it'll be practical to use on the mainnet chain. Another option could be to do what Oreo Wallet has been building out, which is you kind of upload your view keys to a hosted server somewhere, and then that server has like read-only, view-only access to your account. It can't create transactions or anything like that. You still keep control of your own keys, but the server then could do the decrypting for you and all the downloading of blocks. And so you get started a lot quicker, but at the cost of potentially like, you know, you give somebody else the ability to see what assets are in your account. So we're just about wrapping up this prototype, and what we're going to do next is take a look at it as a team and try to evaluate both whether it's worth spending time trying to make it even faster, or whether it's would be more worth going down the route of like this hosted view key solution. So we're going to chat about that, but in the meantime, Skylar's been making some really great progress in the designs, and he's been sharing those as well. And also, if you're interested in taking a peek at the source code, we're happy to share it. We're keeping it like closed source just for now to avoid like any confusion, since the prototype really isn't ready for people to put their actual wallets into yet. But if you're somebody else who's working on a wallet, we're happy to like share the code if you're interested in it and collaborating on potential solutions for a mobile wallet. So feel free to reach out if you're curious. But more to come on that in the future. So we're going to keep working on that in the upcoming months to come. It's been super fun to see like Ironfish syncing on a phone. So I'm really looking forward to working on this project. So speaking of upcoming work, Rohan's going to chat a bit about upcoming changes that are going to come up on the multi-sig project next. Thanks, Derek. Yeah, so just a quick follow-up to all the multi-sig work that I just mentioned. So the release that's coming up with multi-sig works off a scheme called Trusted Dealer Key Generation. And as I mentioned before, there's a single coordinator who takes a private key and chunks it up and sends it across to participants. As a follow-up project, we're going to be working on something called DKG, which stands for Distributed Key Generation. And it's going to work using the same threshold signature, but now you'll be able to have multiple participants just talk to each other without a centralized coordinator. So it's going to decentralize this process a little bit more and make it a little bit safer and more secure when using multi-sigs. Next, for some more upcoming work, I will pass it off to Jason.
Hello again. Yeah, we talked about making Ironfish compatible with institutions and architecture being built on Ironfish. One thing we're doing is in preparation for bridges to build on Ironfish and integrate with other chains, there are a few features that we actually need to build to make it better for them. Multisig is actually one of these features that Rohan discussed. There's a couple other features that we're working on. One is custom asset metadata registries. So what this really is we actually have a version of this in the app right now. If you go to view your balances, you might notice a check mark next to Iron. That's because there's a centralized source that you can customize and provide your own API to return a list of assets that are actually considered quote unquote verified. And this will show the check mark. But there are other fields that we need to add as well. We want to add a symbol for assets. We want to add name for asset. We want to add number of decimal places that it should be rounded. And this is all in preparation for bridging from other assets. For instance, if you bridge an ERC20 asset, it can have up to 256 bits of accuracy in their asset. But when you bridge that over, we need to display the correct number of decimals when you view your balance for that asset on Ironfish. So that's one major thing that we're actually going to be kind of working on. And then we're also researching a very common thing that exists on other chains, which is the ability to rotate out your validator sets for people bridging assets. And this kind of requires you to have a multi-sig wallet where the public key doesn't change. So we're kind of researching in the multi-sig project a version of multi-sig which you can change out your multi-sig wallet set potentially without changing your public address. So these are kind of future projects that we're not working on now, but we're going to start looking into it at some point in the future. But it'll be very important for bridges. Asset metadata should be very easy, obviously, so we'll do that for bridges. The other one will require a bit more research. So nice. Now I'm going to pass it on to another project that I'm also excited about. Lena will talk about ledger support.
Awesome. So yeah, I'm going to give a quick update on some of the partnerships that we've had for some of the grants that we've had and kind of give you an update there. So the first one is Zondax. So Zondax is working with us to add Ironfish ledger support. They're still on track for sometime in April. I've been talking to their devs, and so far it seems like progress is good. So everything seems to be good there. The other partnership that I want to mention is Chainport. So Chainport has several milestones. The first milestone is kind of like the setup phase. The second milestone is to have Ironfish as the destination chain. So right now they're pretty much through milestone 1, and they're almost through milestone 2 as well. So it's not fully released yet, and we'll kind of make a bigger announcement about it once it is more released, so people can try it out themselves. But they're pretty much nearing towards having Ironfish be the destination chain. So what that means is in a testnet environment, so right now they just demonstrated proof of concept from Sepolia over to Ironfish. You could transfer any ERC20 token from Sepolia over to Ironfish and have that token be in Ironfish, which makes it 100% private. So that progress is doing pretty well. So they estimated 5 months from from February to get to mainnet. So they're actually they're pretty on track. The other thing that I want to kind of do a quick overview of is our EthDenver/Denver trip and experience. We did so we were at EthDenver last week. Was it last week? Oh my gosh, yes, last week. Time flies. And so I just wanted to give a bit more overview of kind of what happened. So we were hosting OpenCafe for 2 days, along with some other crypto companies in the Electric Capital portfolio. We did see some great people. Some people have never heard of Ironfish. Some people have heard of Ironfish. We gave out really great swag. We talked to a lot of people. That was a really fun experience. The first thing that we actually did was we spoke at ETHPragma. So I gave a talk at ETHPragma. I know it's recorded. It wasn't live streamed. I know it was recorded. I'm not sure when they're going to be releasing those talks, but once they do, I'll make an announcement as well. And then we also did a lightning talk at a Blueyard dinner. Blueyard is a VC that's entering the space and is pretty knowledgeable in crypto in general. And they had other lightning talks there as well, which was pretty awesome. Juan from Filecoin went right after me, and his whole point is that we need to actually, crypto could help humanity go through the AGI shift that we're about to experience, which was a really fascinating talk. And then lastly, we were also on the main stage at EthDenver itself, doing a privacy panel with Ian Myers and Matt Green. That was live streamed, and we did repost that on Twitter. I believe it's live streamed and that was already published or the recording has been published. So if anyone's interested, you can pay me if you can't find it yourself. So that was a really, really great experience. The other thing that I want to highlight is we concluded our Circuitbreaker Hackathon. So Circuitbreaker is part of ETH Global. It's a zero knowledge specific hackathon that was going on for 3 weeks. And we so that has been concluded, and we did already pay out the winners. So there were 3 finalists that we highlighted on Twitter, and I believe in the announcements channel as well. So if you're interested, you can click more on that. But the 3 winners were Anon Pay. So Anon Pay was a really cool project that was demonstrating how you can do private campaign donations, like private political campaign donations, while still adhering to the regulatory requirements of campaign donations in general. So that was really cool. And so what that means is they would keep track of you, like they would actually KYC you to make sure that you're not donating more than you're supposed to. Because in the US specifically, there's actually a lot of rules and regulations around how you can do campaign donation. But when you actually pay, everything happens in Ironfish, and that's completely private. The other project was IronPay, and IronPay was a way for merchants to support Ironfish a lot easier. So I thought that was really cool. And the last one was called Semaphore Relay Bot, which allowed you to interface with a chat, like a chat bot, in order to send Ironfish transactions. And on top of that, they also had spend limits enforced by Noir on Aztec. Well, Aztec is not quite out yet, but Noir, I think they verified Noir on Scroll. And so it was kind of a really cool project that showed you can have Ironfish transactions being initiated through a chat bot, but also have spend limits that were verified by Noir, which is a domain-specific language for ZK circuits for Aztec. So that was a really, really cool project. And that was probably the more creative project that I've seen. And so really happy to choose them as our winners. And speaking of winners, Kelly's going to talk about the testnet winners for the incentivized testnet that we just had.
Hey everyone. Yeah, exactly. So I just wanted to say thank you, first of all, to everyone that mined on the testnet. And I'm just going to drop the winners in the chat instead of trying to pronounce all of these winners. So go ahead and put these out here for you. We will be putting together the swag bags this week and figuring out the logistics on sending out the prizes for the winners. If you would please DM me if you are one of these winners, I can go through and we'll get everything set up for your shipping and everything. And just wanted to thank you again for participating. And then the other thing I want to talk about is ambassadors program. So congratulations to the people who have won weeks 1 through 3. We've been posting those in the ambassador channels announcements. I will do a final announcement of all the winners at the end. And week 4 is currently underway. It ends at 11:59 p.m. on Monday. So you still have some time to participate. And if you would like some extra participation, Edwin is hosting trivia after the miners call on Tuesdays. So come there and you can get some extra entries. And we just really appreciate everyone who both mined on the testnet and are also participating in the ambassadors program. I'm going to go ahead and pass this off to Skylar, who has our final update.
Thanks, Kelly. Hey, so we're doing a collaboration with the Meter Box to create a branded power meter for your mining rig. So stay tuned on how you can get your hands on one of those. And in the meantime, you can check out themeterbox.com if you want to browse their current products.
Awesome. I'm seeing some of the previews of the designs and they're pretty sick. So I'm pretty excited to have one too.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, I'm very proud of us for being on time. Yeah, thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope to see you next month. There's a question in the chat. How many fish is required to become a whale? Oh boy. Well, technically a whale is a mammal and a fish is not. So I'm not sure. You can't really skip species. But I understand actually the question's for Scorpio, so Scorpio can answer that one. All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining in. We had a lot of updates this week, and I'm excited for all the work that's been going on at Ironfish. We're definitely getting closer and closer to our goal of supporting every single L1 and L2 chain as a privacy solution for that chain. With Chainport obviously being a pretty huge jump towards that. Yeah, it's definitely, there's a lot happening. If you have any questions, please ping us in the general channel or the finance channel or the or the questions channel. We have moderators answering those questions right away. And if not, you can tag one of us to answer that question directly. All right. Thank you all so much. And I hope you have an awesome weekend. Bye, everyone.